Hello, it's Angela here. Today I'm going to recreate this card. It's one I made for the Hop Abroad design team InstaHop, and I thought it'd be good to show you how I made this. So this one is in centimetres and I'm going to make the one today in inches. So I'm starting with card base, and it's in the Orchid Oasis colour. So I'm just going to fold along that score line and burnish along the edge, get a nice sharp edge on that. And then the next piece I've got is this layer here. So I've made that slightly smaller, and I've made it for the whole size, and after I'm going to adhere that strip of DSP also in the Orchid Oasis colour. And I've got a blending brush and the ink pad, and I'm just going to put a little bit of scrap down here. So I want the concentration of my ink to sort of be in this area here. It does adjust the look of the card slightly with this, because as you can see the difference between the Imperial and the metric, it's a little bit shorter and slightly wider, not too much, but it just does make it look a little bit different. So I'll open up my ink pad and I just dab some of the ink from here and I just pop it in the lid. I don't like to pop it onto the paper because then it wastes. At least this way I can go back and pick it up off here. And then I'll start sort of over here, which is going to be hidden by the paper, just in case I end up with any blobs. And this is the Fluid 100 watercolouring paper. I find it really works well with blending. So I'll just start here. And I just tend to go in circular motion and keep on going back over it, and then just go back and get a bit more ink. Just keep on building that up. Just take it out a little bit, sort of keep on. So it just depends how much ink, you know, what sort of depth of colour you want on your background. Just keep on putting a bit more on. This is a lovely, lovely set. I'll have, if you live in New Zealand and would like to purchase any of these, if you don't have a demonstrator, I'll pop the links in, and they can, so it's easily just to click on the links. Or even if you live out of New Zealand, you just want to know exactly what I've used, if you click on the link, it'll take you there and you'll be able to see. Right, so once you've got sort of enough down, then I want to emboss that, and I'll just bring in my embossing machine, and I've used the Time Worn Type embossing folder, just because I wanted something subtle in the background, but if you wanted something a little bit more noticeable, you could try something else. So just put that in there, and I need my embossing plate, and just take these ones out. I'm not sure, I guess you can see it, I think. Sorry, they're clanking. Let's get that back out of the way. So as you can see, that gives a nice, just a little bit of texture in the background, and neither masculine or feminine. And then I'm just going to put this spotted DSP along here, and I do tend to use a longer piece and then trim it rather than cutting it first, because sometimes just a little millimetre here or there can make a difference. rather trim it off this way than it be too short. So I'll just tuck that on the edge there. And just, oopsie, this wasn't right to the edge. Just try that again. Don't want to see any of that tucking out from underneath it, that white colour or creamy colour. So once that's on, I just trim off the back here. And then what I want to do is pop that on dimensionals and pop that on there. So pop plenty of those on, so just give a nice firm base. Some little half ones up there, just fill in the gaps a little bit. Nothing worse than it sagging. So I'll just get the backs off those. Always seems to take an age. Doesn't really, but it just feels like that. Right, so that's those off, and then just want to get that nice and even on that base. Right, and then on this one I used the shimmery white cardstock, and then I just die cut these in the white, and did the sentiment in the white. But what I'm going to do today is do it all in the Fluid 100, just to get that continuity with that creamy colour. So I've got a sheet here, and I need that for this image here to stamp and die cut that. And because I'm going to be doing a bit of watercolouring, I'm going to use the Stays On. So I'll give that a good ink. And then a really good press down. Make sure I've got that whole image. No, it's not as dark as I would have liked, but I might do that again actually. Give it a better press this time. This Stamparatus actually is a good bus for an image that's a little bit bigger, and then you don't have that problem. Might as well just do it on the back here. Try that again. The Stays On does dry out quite quickly, so you do need to work a little bit faster than you probably would with a normal inking when you're inking something up. So that's that one. So what I want to do is I'm just cut through that, and I'll bring in my little mini die cutting machine. And if you haven't seen this, if you're having trouble with the sandwich, I found the number 3 plate works really well. It doesn't slip, just runs through perfectly. So let's get that on the right spot. Can sometimes be a little bit tricky, but I think that looks all right. Oopsie, jiggled it. You could put post-it notes or something, just keep it in place. I tend not to. That one's looks right up there. Then, oh, that's it. I think I've got it now. So then I just pop that in, lower it down, and then hold it in place and run it through. And I do generally do it before I've coloured it, so that if I do mess up, I'm not upset that I've gone to all the trouble of watercolouring it. Oh, that's perfect. That's good. And while I've got this here, I'll just die cut this here. So I've got that lovely long leaf. So I'll just trim that off so it will go through my mini machine. And go this way again. And pop that out of there. It's just, this paper is a lot firmer too, so if you have trouble die cutting it, just pop it through a couple of times. So let's take those little bits out, and then we're going to be trimming that up, but we'll do that in a moment. So now to watercolour this, I'll just bring in some scrap paper to pop that onto. So they are really minute images, so I'm going to be using a little bit of watercolouring and a little bit of using blend, these blender pens, because they work really well. If you have the Stampin' Up markers, you could use those. So, but I am using watercolouring because I do want to get a little bit of variation with the leaf colour. So I'm just going to put a little bit of water on there, and I'll pick a little bit up here, make it a little bit darker. And unlike the other card I did, this one I am colouring in within the lines. Just want to put a little bit of the darker Parakeet Party at the base. I might just go in with that dark colour and just do that at the base of all those, and I'll add water. So if you can see that, I'll put the darker colour just at those ends. I'll just bring that just so I can get a couple of, a bit of variation in colour. But it is they are so minute, you probably don't need to worry too much if wouldn't matter if you just did the leaf in one tone. And then with the blender, you can just pick up a little bit. If you don't, I'll use the other end, it doesn't look quite as coloured. Pick that up, the colour on there, and just pop it on those, so they are tiny. It just works like a Stampin' Up marker, except for the fact you have to keep on going in to it. And then if you wanted to put a bit more colour, darker at the bottom, you could use that too, just to add just a bit more depth to the bottom of those leaves. And to clean that, you just rub it like that, and eventually when it starts going clear, you know that you've got it all off your brush. And then what I want to do is clean that off, and then just draw up that colour a little bit with the water. So it just fades it out to the top. Then I've seen, it always happens after you finish, see something you've missed. So just really subtle. And there are some little Some more little green ones up here too. They're like little seed heads or oh, another leaf down here. They're well hidden. Right, that's it, I think. Just add a little bit of water, drag that up. Then I'm going to do the Orchid Oasis to coordinate with everything else on the flowers. And I'm going to do, just clean that off, exactly the same thing. Excuse me. Add the water into here. And I'm going to put darker pieces, darker areas of colour where the shading is that Stampin' Up have already popped in. See that? And then I'll go back and add either just water or a lighter colour, or a water or a lighter version of the colour, just to draw that out a bit. So I'll just add just areas in here of dark, less watered down version of the colour. So quiet I can hear. I don't know if you can hear it. My clock is ticking behind me. And then I'll just make these, because these are smaller, I always think there's likely to be a more intense colour. I think I've got all of those. So then what I'm going to do is just run that off, and then just drag that colour through. Actually, now that I've closed that, there isn't so much on there, so I'll just bring in some really a bit of the light colour off the side of the. You don't want to add too much water, because otherwise it will bleed. Really just blending that in a little bit, that darker colour, so it looks watercoloured. So really simple and easy. That is that. Then the next thing I want to do is assemble it. So what I've done with this piece here is I've cut it down. So this is this bit here. Is it? No. Yeah, just looks. Now I can't work out which one I've done. Must be that bit over there that I've used that for. Oh, it is. So we'll just cut that off there. So I'm just going to cut that so to make that look like a leaf again. So trim that around. Hopefully that's nice and clear. So that is going to be that piece under there, which you can hardly see. And then this is this piece here. So I'm going to chop that off about there. That's going to tuck under, and then this last piece is this bit here. So what I'm going to do is cut that around there. So I've got that leaf shape again, so you don't get any of those funny sort of bits that they have. So then what I want to do is get glue dots, is probably just about the easiest thing. Is lift this piece up, pop a glue dot to the front of it, just somewhere. Let's pop the glue dot on there. Grab three, one on here, and then this one here that on the glue dot, and this last one here. So that piece there, that's going to come out about there. And if you don't press too hard the first time, you know, when you pop it there, you can move it around. So if you just, that's that top piece. So sort of coming out about there, and then press it down. So just pop it in there. There. You've got happy with it, then just give it a good press. So they're attached, happily attached. So then what I'll do is put some dimensionals to the back of that, and it's quite good if you pop them over where they attach onto here, because then you're going to ensure that they stay put. Got plenty of dimensionals on this. And just a half one there and a half one in behind here. That should be enough. Take all those backs off. Do you find those backs everywhere? Amazing how far they travel. And then that's going to sit about there. So as you can see, it takes up quite a bit more of that space, which it actually looks really good. I like that. And then I want to create this nice tammy bow, and this is the metallic woven ribbon. And what I'll do is, so start there. So I'm not sure if you've seen me do this or seen Tammy Wilson do it. Do your loop, work out how big you want it to be. Another loop down there. Just keep on popping it under your thumb. And then another loop. Sometimes they don't always do what you want. You can adjust them later on. So down there, so we've got our, and then you're going to bring that around and then cut it to about there, and then bring that through that loop. Then I always pop those loops on my middle finger and pull that tight, and then you've got 2 loops. You can adjust them once you've got it all together, so don't worry if you're not happy with it. You can play around with it. And that I'm going to add onto the card with a glue dot, because they work so well. You never know which side that's going to be on. So just pop that about the middle there, and then that on there. You can play around with those later. Probably trim that off a little bit, otherwise they're tricky to get in, tuck them into the envelope. And then just the sentiment, and the sentiment is a Celebrate You from the stamp set. And I'm just going to do that nice and simply in the Orchid Oasis. I do have a habit of doing a lot of in the black. I'll show you the other one I did that, with a set, but I think this looks nice, nice and simple on here in that. So I'm just going to step that down a bit quicker, but it won't matter. Then I'm just going to die cut it. And this is this banner is from the Stylish Shapes dies. So once again, just use my mini machine. Just put that down so that I don't end up causing any problems getting that through. And just want to get that lined up nice and straight. I think the stitching on this banner just adds a nice little touch to it. And so I just want to tuck that over there. So I'm just going to put a dimensional just so it will sit and clear that knot in the middle. And I'll just line it up with the bottom of the card. I'll just stand up for this. And I just tend to go straight up there then. So now I'm locking it. Start again. Just go straight up. Then I can hope that it's straight. Line that up and press it down. See, now I've gone a bit high with the dimensional sticking out. So I'm just going to just tuck that under there with my scissors so you can't see it now. And then lastly, what I'm going to do is add some of these. These are the soft succulent festive pearls. So I want, yeah, the soft succulent. I thought they just look pretty with this colourway. So, and they were in the Christmas mini, but they have carried on, so you can still get them. 2, 3. I think we'll have a few more. 4, and tuck one in under here, up here, and that is 5, and that is this card. So thank you for watching. I'll just show you the one. This is the other one that I made in my Facebook Live today. That's very random and watercoloured outside the edges, but I think that's a nice alternative. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and as I say, all the measurements will be in the description box below. So thanks again. Bye.